Painting with knives. For many years during the second half of the last century, I was an occasional watercolor painter. This is a view of Grasmere, one of the smaller lakes in the English Lake District, a place which I associate with William Wordsworth and his poem about a swathe of golden daffodils, painted in 1957. Fast forward to the early 1990s in Cape Town. A watercolour of the well-known view of Devil's Peak as seen from Rondebosch Common. By this time, I had retired from my working life. In the back of my mind, God was telling me to develop my talent for drawing and painting. And in the front of my mind, my wife was urging me to do what I had always wanted to do, that is, draw and paint. Bingo. A few years before, I had had to choose between acrylic and oil as my main medium in painting while doing a few modules of the UNISA Fine Art course. I chose acrylic because it dried quicker and had no smell. But I discovered that there were drawbacks too. First, it was difficult to clean the paintbrushes because the residual paint dried into the ferules, making it difficult to separate the bristles. And second, the paint dried even quicker when painting outdoors than at home in my studio. To overcome the second drawback, I decided to take photos on site and paint from them at home. In the mid-90s, something happened that was another landmark for me. I attended a workshop led by Eric Whale, a well-known Western Cape artist. I was using acrylics to paint this view of a rock pool at Beacon Island, Plettenberg Bay. He came by and recommended using painting knives to help with getting a rugged texture for the rocks. I did, and this was the result. The top part of the picture is mainly brushwork, and the bottom part is knife work. After that, I was sold on painting with knives. A word of explanation. This is what painting knives look like. In principle, they're like miniature bricklayers' trowels. They come in different shapes and sizes. You can spread paint like spreading butter on bread. You can create hard edges and soft edges, and draw lines with the knife edges. You can make spots or draw with the points, and create random textures with the flat of the blades. Cleaning is easy. Scrape them clean under cold water. But beware, the edges get very sharp with repeated use. A big adventure lay ahead of me to discover what kind of marks knives could make. Here are some of the results. Rugged rocks and turbulent sea at Beacon Island. The massive rocks along the shoreline at Cape Columbine with dune vegetation and fynbos in the cracks. The lighthouse looks dwarfed on the hilltop. A typical pillar of rock in the Cederberg, and more varied vegetation in the foreground. More rugged, highly textured rocks with fynbos on a citrus dull hillside. Rocks, both near and far, now combined with a shore of beach and surf at Pringle Bay. Rocks and grassland in the Coabockerveld, south of Citrusdal. Here, the knives are getting more versatile with Helichrysum fynbos in the foreground and distant cliffs near Cape Point. The Cape of Good Hope is top right centre. Cape Point itself is out of the frame to the left. Now, trees. Table Mountain seen through trees growing on Signal Hill in Cape Town. Autumn trees in the KZN Midlands. Coastal bush and trees at Llandudno, Cape Town, with a variety of textures and colours. It was quite tricky to depict these fynbos shrubs glistening with raindrops. It called for lots of careful dabs with the flat of a knife blade charged with paint. Broad-leafed arums and grass on Rondebosch Common didn't present such a challenge. Greyer Radlkofferi, Transvaal Wattlebrush, flowering in Kirstenbosch Gardens came out well with a knife. Clanwilliam daisy is rather scrawny in its habitat, but lends itself well to being painted with the edge of a knife. A tangle of arums and nasturtium leaves also responded well. Beach vegetation presented different challenges. This sprawling display of beach Carpobrotus needed individual treatment for each succulent finger. This Arctothoca was also tricky because the light is so strong at the beach. Quite early on in the big adventure, an email arrived from Gauteng with a photo of our toddler granddaughter as an attachment. My wife asked me as a commission to do a painting from it. At the second attempt, this was the result. I was happy that the knives came up trumps. That experience was a great encouragement when I tackled painting other children at the beach, like this one, and these at Milnerton Beach. And these older ones with their mother fishing in a rock pool at Bloberg Strand. This dog was very patient, and the knives were up to the challenge. I've enjoyed sketching musicians in action, and occasionally the sketches have been turned into paintings like this one of Andrew Tracy and his steel band in Grahamstown. And this one of Wolfram Christ rehearsing the KZN Philharmonic Orchestra before one of their Thursday evening concerts. Changing tack completely, this is a painting of a straight line object of an engineering nature which one could readily understand to be a suitable subject for a knife painting, a pipe-laying barge in Simonstown Harbour. And similarly, an oil rig in Duncan Dock Table Bay with Lion's Head beyond. Another straight line subject, a table and 2 chairs with shadows. A favourite theme of mine is boats and reflections. Sometimes one can see through the water to the bottom, sometimes only the brilliant surface reflections. And I enjoy capturing the power of the surf zone breakers, where the flat of the knife blade can be used gently to deposit random drops of paint to simulate the water spray. Finally, a brief essay into the genre of still life, my tribute to the humble Nachi.